Hey there, everybody. How you doing? You doing good? Good. I just wanted to give you another installment of SnowFlake 33. I apologize for not being a little more regular with it. As you may or may not know, I'm really busy with the whole SGONS project that I described a few snowflakes back. I'm sure if you're listening to this by now, you're well aware of the music that I've been releasing over the past 2 or 3 months, and that will continue until the end of the year 2017. Every month you'll be getting 4 new pieces of new material, one for each one of my platforms that I release music on. The Interesting Actual, Pipe Choir, PC1, PC3. And anyway, so I'm so busy with that. It's consuming a lot of my time, and that's why I haven't been releasing regular snowflakes, because these actually do take a little bit of time to create, and I've just kind of had to prioritize what I wanted to be doing with my time, or what I could be doing with my time. So having said that, what I'm going to do with this episode is, in keeping with this theme that I was talking about, the word fame, and my feelings about that particular topic, I'm going to give you an interview that I did back in, I believe it was like 2000 or 2001, on a radio station. I was there to promote an art opening for some artwork that I had created, because I also do, other than music, I do, painting, and I do sculpture, and I do woodworking, and I do all kinds of stuff. I'm never doing just one thing all the time. And so I did have an art opening, and that's what this interview was really about. It's not a very long piece, it's pretty short, but I figured I would give you guys something instead of nothing. So bear with me. This whole interview does actually, at least in my opinion, apply to the topic that I'm trying to cover. It's all working towards a larger point that I'm trying to make. So we're not there yet, but we're getting there, and this is part of the process of getting to this larger issue or larger point that I'm trying to convey. I also want to add that just for the sake of the point that I'm trying to make, pay special attention to the way the interview is conducted, and the tone, and the basic respect that the interviewer gives me. Just pay attention to that. So, without further ado, here is the interview that I did back in 2001.
In the studio with me right now is Mike Bostwick. Mike from the band Morticious Chair. Mike, how's it going this evening?
It's going great, man. It's going good.
Very good. And what is currently going on with the band Morticious Chair? You told me, we were speaking during breaks, that you're in the process of recording a new disc. Let's talk about that briefly.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We're in the studio right now. We started recording about a month ago. We've got 12 songs done, and we're planning on possibly doing like a double disc, a 2 CD release.
Wow.
So there's going to be a lot of experimental material on it, and we're going to be collaborating with accordionists, violinists, saxophone players, cello players. So we're actually right now in the process of piecing together a string quartet. So if there's anybody listening that would be interested in playing cello on a record, that could do it for a relatively low price.
Any cellists available out there this evening listening to local
Give
music?
us a call. That's what we're doing right now. We're kind of laying low off the gig thing for a little while, and just putting together like the best possible record that we could ever put together.
And this disc was released, you corrected me there earlier, it was released in late 99, you said, the Echolocator disc?
Yeah.
And can you tell me a little bit about the track Paranoid Strain? Because I've played that up here regularly for the past couple months, and not only it being the lead-off track on the disc, but I think it's just a very mood-enhancing tune. I think the majority of the material on this disc is is mood enhancing. It definitely puts you in a
Yeah.
train of thought, and kind of it has a kind of a, dare I say, philosophical feel to it, like real.
We definitely, when we were making that record, we were all kind of like in the mindset that we wanted to put together a record that you could listen to all the way through. Like, it wasn't like a series of singles. It was more like one big piece of music that blended together.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a lot of like that kind, I guess there's like a mood to it, and it's a consistent kind of thing. But there's
Feel.
peaks and valleys too, though. And I think that's what we
Well,
did.
you definitely achieved it, and you recorded at the infamous Mars Recording Compound
Yes.
in Streetsboro with Wilhelm Korecki.
Yes.
And for those of you that are not familiar with Bill Korecki's work, he's done Yvette, Disengage, Mushroom Head, Integrity. The list goes on and on. He's a piece of what goes on here locally in the Cleveland music scene, as well as abroad. I know he's brought in some bigger name bands as well in the past. And how is it working with Bill? I understand he's very, very particular about percussion and drummers. I've heard at times he's actually asked people to leave if they're not on the money.
Yes.
He'll have them take a walk.
Bill's actually he's just as much into what he's doing as the band is into what they're doing. So if you're not prepared and you're not really serious about it, then he's going to ask you to not waste your money and his time,
exactly,
and just go rehearse and whatever. But if you go into his studio and you have your act together and you're serious and you're a good band, and good being, any style of music, as long as you've got it together. I mean, you know when you don't have it together, and you know when you do.
And obviously, he's not out for the financial gain. It's more
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
He puts his name on things,
and he wants to be
He
proud
wants to
of
make-
what he's
right.
putting out of that
Right.
studio.
So,
Well, he has a.
if anybody ever records at the studio, I suggest during the recording process, kind of like looking in on Bill while he's doing his thing,
Mhm.
and you get a really good idea just kind of watching him with no one, bothering him or talking to him, twisting knobs and pulling faders or whatever.
How
You can
focused
see
this
his
man is.
brain work. It's just
Mhm.
really, really an incredible studio.
And you yourself have a career, have a history here in the Cleveland music scene. Can you tell
Yes.
our listeners a little bit about some of the other projects that you've been involved with in the past outside of Morticia's Chair?
I think I've been really lucky, actually, because I was in a band when I was right out of high school. Actually, in high school, I was in a band called Rotary 10, and left that band, and I formed a band called Thumper Incorporated, and signed a small little indie deal and played some pretty cool shows around here.
Excellent.
And then I went from that to Slow Bob, and Slow Bob was like really heavy confrontational stuff. And then from Slow Bob, I went to Morticia's Chair. So it's like I've played and I've done sessions with a lot of bands. I've had a chance to jam with some really, really, really great musicians.
And did you form Morticia's Chair? Was that your doing, or was that kind of a group effort?
Morticia's Chair actually started with our lead singer. His name is Mark Kay. He was in a band called Screw Tractor, and for years I had people on my end and he had people on his end telling us that we should hook up because we like the same kind of music and whatever. And actually, when Screw Tractor lost their drummer, unbeknownst to me, Screw Tractor was going to call me up to fill in, and that never happened because they wound up breaking up. And then just through the course of time, I wound up meeting Mark at a party, and we hit it off really well, of course, like everyone had told us we would.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down to jam with him. He actually hounded me to practice with him for like 4 months, and I was in another band. So it was
wow.
Dude, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Just,
the side
but then I
project
went down. I actually went down, and it was like electricity, man. As soon as we started playing, it was like, okay.
You felt the
all
vibe,
right, this
and
is it.
you knew it was going to work.
Yeah, this is where I belong. Yeah.
Mike Boswick is here in the studio discussing Morticia's Chairs, echolocator disc, as well as some other upcoming events and projects that Michael's involved with. Mike, tell me about number one. You have a local art show coming up here. Is that true? Can you give our listeners some details on that, please?
I have an art opening coming up at Edison's Tavern in Tremont for the Tremont Art Walk. Actually, I think it's a week from today.
Mm-hmm.
Next Friday is when it opens, and my art will be on display for a month until the second Friday of March.
And that's in the city of Tremont, on the outskirts of
a little borough
Cleveland.
next to Cleveland. Yeah.
Which is a very hip kind of art ghetto at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so not only are you dabbling in the musical end of things, but you're also dabbling
Also
in
doing some paintings.
Yeah, how would you describe your paint work?
Well,
painting?
I think overall, My paintings are mostly 40 by 40 or 36 by 40 size paintings of busts. Like it's kind of like I think a little more on the psychedelic side, like very colorful, very electric looking paintings.
Well, that sounds pretty rad, and that will be featured a week from tonight at the Art Walk in Tremont, Ohio.
Yes.
Tremont. Okay, very good. And the show once again.
February 23rd at Oz's in Kent with Crack House Jazz Quartet.
That's awesome.
So come on out. It's going to be a good show. Crack House actually broke up like 5 years ago. We were talking earlier, and they've reunited.
They're back together.
And for the younger people out there who are listening, younger being 21 because I'm almost 30 now.
Yeah.
But Crack House is a band you're going to want to come and check out because they were really cool then, and they're even better now. They've really got a good lineup together.
Okay, Mike, we're going to play another track off the Echolocator disc. The song is entitled "Orchid," and can you tell me a little bit about what you did in the studio? What you did on this track?
The origin of Orchid actually came from a side project that I do called Pipe Choir.
Mm-hmm.
That's music that I do by myself, and guitar line that I had written, and then I had sung into a yakback. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Can you explain what a yakback is?
It's like one of those little devices that there's two buttons to press. You press the first one, it says say, and you talk into it, and then you press play, and it'll play back what you've said.
Okay, sure.
So
I think
in the yakback, I said like, I believe in you, and then you'll hear that echoing throughout the mix of the song. It's kind of cool.
I think I experimented with there was like a Transformers type scenario where you speak into this microphone and it would distort and warp your vocals out into another dimension there. I think Rob Zombie's made a career out of that. Out of doing that. But
harmonizers and phase shifters and all that.
But this disc is the real deal, man. I dig it, and I thank you so much for coming up.
I appreciate really you having me up, man. It's cool.
We're gonna have you stick around for a while because you've been a great guest, and I'm having fun. So this is Orchid on 88.3 FM, The Sting, from Morticia's Chair.
Cool.
You heard from the Zachary Walker Band with 1,000 Poets, and prior to that, Morticia's Chair with Orchid. Once again, Mike, thanks for coming up. You're always welcome to come up. In fact, we're going to give you a regular installment up here, I think, every month. You're going to come in, and it'll be the philosophical drop, where you just come in and drop in a little piece of wisdom for everybody out there. And you're in tap with the local scene, and that's really cool. So we're going to we'll get some inside scoops from you. Hopefully monthly. That'd be really cool. Either have you call in and or just stop by and say hello. So,
no problem.
Moving right along, here's another local act for you, ladies and gentlemen. This is a band called the Vacancies, and the song is entitled "Dying Inside You" on 88.3 FM, The Sting. Fletcher up here taking your request from 9 to 10. I will continue with the format. Give us a call up here at area code 440-826-2187. That's 440-826-2187. Mike, what do you got for the people out there? PSA.
Try one of the many fun and fascinating one-day workshops which Beck Center for the Arts offers from now through May. Choose from 2 watercolor workshops, silk painting, colored pencil, and oil pastel. For a class brochure, call 1-216-521-2540, extension 222. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Disengage on 88.3 FM, Spine of Teeth. Mike, any parting comments to the audience there before we move on to our local news? Or actually our world news, I take that back.
Go out to a local store or local record store
and support local music.
Support local music and keep listening to the station.
88.3 FM.
So that was my interview with Fletcher from WBWC in Berea when I lived in Cleveland. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, it's all part of a narrative that I'm trying to fill, and I'm trying to explain a larger point. So that was just a sample, a taste of a little bit of where I come from and what I'm talking about. So with that, that's it. This is Mike Bostwick from Pipe Choir Records, signing off for now. And remember, folks, if you want to keep what you've got to give it away. Take it easy.